Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. It's a chilly morning in the nation's capital, and I'm here on a Friday with you, Lindsey.
It's really fall. Happy Friday.
Happy
We're both
Friday.
Need our coffee. I have coffee in my cup today as opposed to
mugs.
water. I got
Yes.
2 mugs. Yeah, let me. 2 coffees, 1 water. I'm getting it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it all today. Coming up on Rising, in an extremely rare occasion, the co-hosts of The View are actually praising Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene over her efforts to end the government shutdown.
Plus, Israel has agreed to phase 1 of the peace plan to end the war in Gaza, which is terrific. Of course, many are celebrating the deal, so am I, but there are some expressing caution. We'll definitely get to that.
And New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on charges related to mortgage fraud. But first, of course, we're going to start the show like we always do. Well, not on Fridays, but today we are. Robby, what is on your radar?
So, some ruminations from me on the state of things with legacy and establishment media. Now, if CBS News staffers are throwing fits of apoplexy over the announcement that Bari Weiss will be their new overlord, they're mostly doing so in private. A few have leaked to other media reporters that the general sentiment is one of depression. A throwing up emoji is not enough of a reflection of the feelings in here, they said. But we have yet to witness waves of public denunciation, resistance, or resignation. Others seem stuck in the bargaining phase of learning to cope with a terminal illness, which follows anger and precedes depression. I think that's where we are. One anonymous staffer suggested that everything would be okay as long as Weiss didn't mess with 60 Minutes. Next stop, acceptance. For Weiss, who exited the New York Times in 2020 during the summer of peak wokeness after her heterodox opinions on cultural issues alienated progressive staffers, this new gig constitutes a massive victory over the forces that sought to marginalize her. In addition to enlisting her to run the newsroom, CBS News' parent company Paramount has also purchased the Free Press, the news site that Weiss launched on Substack 3 years ago for $150 million. It's not even clear that CBS News is the upper limit of Weiss's new reach. Paramount is now owned by Skydance, a media company run by David Ellison, who's the son of billionaire entrepreneur Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. Skydance has also set its sights on acquiring Warner Brothers, which owns CNN. So it's not impossible to imagine a future where Weiss runs CBS News and CNN and is thus utterly dominant in the category of establishment television media. Now, these various mergers are not being received particularly well by progressive foes of big business. Lefty antitrust outlet, for instance, The Lever, lamented this billionaire-backed conservative media takeover, which in their telling is a disaster for the overall media landscape. Quote, media companies are merging into ever larger conglomerates, that's according to editor-in-chief David Sirota, saying it's Orwellian that all this is happening. Now, the term Orwellian, of course, generally refers to a silencing effect. But what I find so striking about all these media industry consolidations is that they have not coincided at all with some vast successful effort to muzzle dissident perspectives or clamp down on the domain of acceptable opinions in journalism. On the contrary, the broader media landscape is less centrally controlled than ever before. While it's true that mainstream, establishment, and legacy organizations are either dying off, getting bought up, or coming under the auspices of massive corporate behemoths, shrinking the number of direct competitors in the space, yes, the impact of all this integration is negligible for news consumers. If that assertion causes you to roll your eyes, consider that a merger of CBS News and CNN would make less of a difference to the overall market than at any previous moment in American history. That's because the dominance of the big 4 television channels, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, no longer matters nearly as much. They now have to compete not just against each other, but against streaming, against social media, against the entirety of the internet. Alternative news programs on YouTube routinely get millions more viewers than cable. More people are listening to Joe Rogan on Spotify than bothering to turn on their television for the latest episode of 60 Minutes. There are news shows hosted on Instagram Live, X, Substack, Rumble, a variety of other platforms. The competition for people's attention is genuinely fiercer than ever before, and the existence of so many competitors means that no single perspective is dominant whatsoever. The rise of social media over the course of the 2010s led to a flourishing of conservative news programming, and the increased prominence of YouTube over the same time frame served the political left extremely well. Being worried about too much consolidation of television companies today, I think it's like being worried that a single firm might corner the horse and buggy market in the 1920s. Who cares? When progressives, as well as certain misguided Republicans, propose antitrust as a solution to media mergers, they're always fighting the last war. These properties are all losing market share relative to the extensive catalog of alternative platforms that also offer news, sports, and entertainment. So when politicians, activists, and media figures themselves complain about changes in their industry, their actual frustration is that people who share their politics no longer have nearly the same power to shape, curate, and gatekeep the limits of acceptable opinion and speech. They can't keep me at bay. There no longer exists a Walter Cronkite-esque figure whose own liberal-leaning perspective was presented to viewers as objective, dominating the airwaves. This is a disappointment to people who like and agree with Cronkite's progressive liberalism, but it's good news for everybody who would like to see more diversity, more disagreement, and more dissent. If you're really worried about Weiss's heterodox centrism coming in and ruining 60 Minutes, well, it's not as if the program represents some kind of last stand for hectoring progressivism. There are tons of similar left-coded podcasts, newsletters, and shows all over the internet. Zateo, The Majority Report, Bulwark, just to name a few. To make a long story short, media consolidation, not drying up the well of discourse. The well of discourse is overflowing with hot takes. That should make us more skeptical that it really matters who owns CBS or Warner Brothers. As Elon Musk always says, you are the media now.
Well, that brings me to my point, Elon Musk. I think when Trump's friends are starting to own more and more media outlets, like Elon Musk with X, or like his cohort of friends that are about to buy TikTok, it just makes it a little bit uncomfortable knowing that this is the same guy that just sued the New York Times, that is trying to sue other networks into non-existence, including CBS, and so trying to put people in place to be liaisons to make sure that it's going through what I feel is his lens, with his former ambassador now working at CBS. So there's just a lot of things that raise eyebrows, and I think there's right for concern. I said as many days in the past that I do think that Bari Weiss in this new position is a good thing, especially because she has a parallel leader and president of the company that will also report to Paramount and Skydance, and they will discuss together as opposed to reporting to one another about what the best idea for the company is. That person has already been in position, so understands the tonality of 60 Minutes, and she's going to bring fresh and new ideas to a company that's number 3 in the lineup behind ABC and NBC. So I don't have a problem with that, but I think there should be concern knowing that these people have the direct phone line of President Trump and knowing how petty he has shown us that he is and how much he wants people to go away that dislike or say anything about him that is he considers disdain, even if it's truth. And I think that, that should raise an eyebrow at the very least. You don't have to call it Orwellian or go to the corner of the horse and buggy market, but you should certainly be concerned if you look at this.
But you and I are about the same age. If we consider the historical perspective over the course of our lives, if you go back to when we were younger people, 80s, 90s, the domain of things you could express in the news and entertainment world was very limited because there wasn't that much competition. Now, what I'm saying is now, ironically, even though billionaires, politically motivated billionaires are acquiring social media companies, acquiring television companies, it's not reducing the range of things being expressed. The range of things being expressed is wider than ever before, and it keeps getting that way because even though they buy the last technology and then something new comes along. They buy a television company and then podcasts start. They buy a newspaper and then social media becomes where people get their news. They'll buy social media and next it'll be something else. They can corner an aspect of the market, but they can't corner the overall market because it's too innovative.
Yeah, and I believe more voices
and helpful
is better, but I also believe that you're battling with, and we're going to disagree on this, an endless amount of disinformation, depending on who's in charge.
You say it's disinformation, I say it's diversity of thought.
I like that you use the word diversity.
See, I'm all about diversity, real diversity.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted by a federal grand jury. When we come back, we'll have reactions to that indictment and why Democrats are once again accusing President Trump of weaponizing the Justice Department.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on 2 charges stemming from allegations of mortgage fraud. The indictment was filed Thursday in the Eastern District of Virginia with an initial court appearance set for October 24th.
Now, this is just the latest development in President Trump's ongoing legal battle with James. In 2022, James filed a civil suit against Trump for allegedly inflating the value of some of his properties in New York. She initially won more than $450 million in the case, but an appeals court deemed later that fine seemed to be excessive and threw it out.
Trump's long expressed his desire for legal action against James. He wrote on Truth Social earlier this week, corrupt Letitia James is costing New York State hundreds of billions of dollars in lost business. She's a complete and total disaster. Tried running against Kathy Hochul for governor and only got 1% of the vote in polls and quit. She then went back to her witch hunt against President Donald J. Trump and others. Until this scum is removed from the Attorney General's office, no company will move to New York, and few companies will be using the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ for going public.
Now, James has responded to the charges, denying the allegations and accusing Trump of weaponizing the justice system. Here is some of her statement.
These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties.
Many lawmakers on the left have come to James' defense. Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett says on X, quote, they're targeting New York Attorney General Letitia James for one reason. She had the courage to hold Donald Trump accountable. This is political weaponization of our courts, plain and simple, and proof that when you stand up to corruption, they come for you. And Arizona Senator Mark Kelly writes, Letitia James did her job, and in return, President Trump demanded his attorney general prosecute her. Weeks later, Letitia is indicted by the DOJ. This is not how our justice system is supposed to work. This is vengeance, not justice.
However, there are those on the right accusing Dems of hypocrisy since James vowed to pursue Trump in her 2018 campaign. CNN's Scott Jennings says it's incredible to see Democrats whining about selective prosecution in the case of Letitia James. Her entire career is built on the selective prosecution of one man. Give me a break.
The charges against James carry a maximum sentence of up to 30 years in prison. But since she would be a first-time offender, she would likely receive a lesser sentence if she was convicted. I mean, this is ridiculous. Come on now.
What do you mean it's ridiculous? She's accused of committing mortgage fraud.
And Donald Trump is accused of all the things that he did in New York.
Okay.
He was not let off the hook, by the way. I want to clarify that for our audience. They said that the fine was too excessive. And so I just think that this is a political witch hunt, ping pong back and forth.
Why wasn't it a political witch hunt? Are you kidding me? It's not a political witch hunt when she vows to find a pretext to prosecute him? That's not a political witch hunt?
She said, if I'm the attorney general, I'm going to see the criminal acts that he did in New York and prosecute them. And so,
okay, she's being prosecuted for criminal acts. What is the, get around the, walk me through why it's good to prosecute Trump and wrong to prosecute her.
I think she's mad that that she won a civil fraud. The president is mad that she won a civil fraud case against him, and so he's doing everything in his political power to weaponize the DOJ against her. Versus her, she was campaigning on something and going into office, and then decided to move forward and found something there.
Yeah, they found something.
So
there.
I don't like.
Let me read. This is
her campaign.
Letitia James, when talking about the Trump case. When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. And it would seem that by her own admission, this is a legitimate case.
She's getting indicted for claiming that her second home would be her primary residency.
Right.
So you want her to go to jail for 30 years for saying that her second home would be her primary residency.
I want her to get exactly what Donald Trump did for the same BS crime.
Would you, libertarian like Letitia James, to go to jail for saying that her second home is going to be her primary residence?
Whatever penalty Trump got, she should get, because it's the same.
Fine, but Trump's was a civil case, and they
thing.
Want her to go to jail. Like there's two different types of cases. So Trump should put up a civil case against her then.
This is
and not weaponize the Department of Justice.
She is going to be prosecuted to the exact same extent he was. It's the same thing.
It's not the same extent because a civil case doesn't put you in jail. He's trying to put this woman in jail. I think that's weaponizing the justice system.
Misclassified.
She doesn't deserve to go to jail. He doesn't deserve to go to jail.
She said that she got a more favorable terms for this mortgage. It's not a second home. She immediately rented it out to a family member, I believe.
And they said that she
That's
did that
different.
In her mind. She had a plan, right?
So,
go inside her mind
it's the same.
So she should go to jail for that for 30 years. That's why I just want to make sure that you're understanding.
Of course not. But they shouldn't have pursued Trump.
Trump
on
never
the
was offered jail time.
either.
That wasn't even on the table. It was a fine. That's a civil trial. So if you want to charge this lady and make her pay back the 20, look, so she owes $20,000. So she should pay that back if that's what she did. But throwing any jail time on this is ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. If she evaded the law and needs to go through all the process to make sure that she owes that $20,000 or $18,000 and some change, pay it back. But Trump should pay it back to the New York people that he ripped off to get the loans to whatever.
It was the bank. No,
the bank
did not say they ripped them off. The bank never said he ripped them off. They said it's fine. The government said you ripped it off.
He overemphasized what his income was to get loans. Okay.
The bank said we were not ripped off. We would make this loan again.
Okay. Either way.
The government said the consensual financial interaction between you two people, we say was incorrect.
I don't mind them moving forward and her paying back whatever she owes. I do mind her going to jail.
I think let's make an example of her. Government
go to
officials
jail?
should be held to a higher standard. No more selective prosecutions. Let's lock her up.
She's only accused of improper.
So then will be no more of these things.
So you want no business in America because she's rented out a home that she wasn't a primary, became secondary, and they want to go in this woman's mind and say, you knew you were renting it out from the top. She couldn't have possibly rented it to a family member afterwards that may have needed to live there or somebody who she would like to rent it to. It had to be pre-planned.
I'd like to put the fear of the Lord in the minds of attorneys general and prosecutors who want to use the power of the state to harm their political opponents. That's what she did.
You want our justice system to be continuously weaponized in this way, and you like this back and forth. So, like, let's say it goes to Letitia James, right? She campaigned on prosecuting President Trump. She followed through, and
don't do that.
She won in a civil trial. Now he's prosecuting her with the DOJ. So you want the next Democratic president to move forward with any of his Republican political forces.
I don't think the next Democrat is going to stand down regardless of what I say.
But this is how I'm asking you. This is what you like to see, because I don't like to see either of this happen. I don't think that she should have campaigned on prosecuting President Trump. I've said that on The View. I was on The View at the same time she was prosecuting him. I vocally was very adamant about that. But now that we're here, I certainly don't think this woman needs to go to jail.
Well, given that she brought that case, I don't know what you can do, but then if she's committed a version of the same thing, prosecute her for it.
Yeah. The difference is jail time is what I'm saying. Trump was never in a trial where he was possibly going to jail over the fact that he got a loan. And she is now about to go to jail possibly, or, going through a trial about her getting a loan.
I mean,
in the same way.
She's not actually going to go to jail. It's going to be a plea situation. She's a first-time offender. She's not actually going
30 years on the line. We're talking about 5 years on the line. No, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't want our justice system to work in that way.
I am outraged by her conduct.
I know that you want better for our country, Robby, and so I'm just going to believe that you do.
I'm outraged by her conduct, and I will shed very few tears for her. Next up, Marjorie Taylor Greene garnered some rare praise from the host of The View. Up next, what she had to say about her comments on healthcare. Don't go anywhere. Well, the government shutdown is still going strong, and the ladies of The View were surprisingly praising one Republican lawmaker for trying to get a deal done.
Republicans and Democrats are in deadlock, which appears to be mainly over health care issues like whether or not to extend Obamacare subsidies. The View played a montage of clips of lawmakers, which included Hakeem Jeffries arguing with Mike Lawler and Mike Johnson, and Mike Lawler arguing with Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego.
Then they played a clip of Greene saying, let's take off our Democrat jersey, let's take off our Republican jerseys, and we should do something responsible for the American people and fix this. Here's how The View reacted.
She seems to be the only one responding to her constituents, because her constituents are saying, excuse me, we are being affected by what's happening here.
She also has a couple of kids who need the insurance premiums are going. So it's very personal to her. You know what? I'll take it.
It's a dark day when Marjorie Taylor Greene's the voice of reason, but you know what they say about a blind squirrel, so I completely agree with her here.
I've never heard what they say about a blind squirrel.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is flaming Senator Chuck Schumer over a comment he made to Punchbowl News. Punchbowl asked him about his shutdown strategy, and he responded, quote, "Every day gets better for us." White House Communications Director Stephen Chung responded to Schumer's comment, writing on X, Chuck Schumer is admitting the Democrat shutdown, where they are hurting everyday Americans, is a positive thing. Every Democrat should be asking if they agree with Schumer. He's vile, he's craven, and he's disgusting. Look, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't agree with everything she thinks. I've appreciated her as a voice on foreign policy in the MAGA constituency. It's not, the ladies of The View are not paying, they don't understand ideology or MAGA at all, so they're shocked that they're so shocked that MTG is like saying something different than Trump or Republican. No, she's an independent thinker. She's gone against the president on Iran and Israel and some other issues.
Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah. So it's not
point,
weird at all that they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that she's not marching in lockstep with Republicans. She's an independent thinker. Like, you're not paying any attention at all?
At this point, I think it's a little. I did my lens on this 2 days ago when you were out on Wednesday.
Right.
But I think there's like a little bit more there. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is going against the Republican Party, specifically President Trump, but not saying President Trump in so many direct ways on huge issues.
Right.
So Epstein was a huge issue and will continue to be. Healthcare and this shutdown is a huge issue and will continue to be. I mean, she is being very vocal about things
She's
that
an independent.
Yes, but also she is very adamant. President Trump is sending a messaging out, and for a large part of Trump's campaign, even and before, she was very in lockstep with him. Mm-hmm. So to see this is jarring to anybody who has been following Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's been on CNN. I mean, she was on News Nation this week talking about this. So she's been very vocal. Like, no, I disagree with everything that's going on. We need to extend these subsidies. That's the exact opposite of what most of her party, I would say 90% of her party, is saying right now.
Yeah, and by the way, I completely disagree with her, and that's fine. She's the right to. She doesn't.
I mean, and her tweets aren't like calm. It's like, I'm absolutely disgusted that the health insurance premium will double. Yeah. She's like all caps. And so it's just like, she's not just calmly saying, oh, I disagree, I think my party should come to the table. She's disgusted. Right. She's disgusted, and President Trump is saying anybody who goes along with Massey's push forward to release more of the Epstein files is basically wrong. And she's like, no, you're wrong. Like, this is very much...
On the healthcare thing, though, what I would say to her is, she understands, she's very vocal on pandemic measures being, some of the irresponsibility of that. The subsidy for the healthcare premium was a COVID measure because of the pandemic to make things a little bit easier. It was not meant to be some permanent new policy of massive government bloat and growth to pay for this. Now, the entire healthcare system and how we pay for it should be scrapped and rebuilt. So we all agree that it's bad. So, tinkering with little aspects of it is very small potatoes. We got to scrap the entire thing. But that would be my response to her on.
Well, she has an election coming up, first of all, next year. So she has to be considerate of that.
They all do.
People, exactly. But she needs to be considerate that if she goes home and people's premiums, including her own family, rise, that's going to be a problem. And so these are real things and real money. While Democrats and Republicans are playing political football and going back and forth about things, there are real people that are going to watch literally at the top of next year different prices for everyday things that involve their health. And so that's going to be concerning. And she knows that that'll be problematic for not only her, but probably a lot of Republicans that need to start having this conversation. So she is being smart, whether it's politically motivated to make sure that she continues to win in her district and with voters. A lot of people do that, but at the same time, she's against the party, but the party should probably get on board and listen to what she's saying, because healthcare is a winning issue most times for Democrats historically. Up next in my lens, did an accidental text message change the course of the Justice Department's case against James Comey? Stick around, we're going to talk about it.
All right, Lindsey, what's in your lens today?
Lots to discuss. So here's the thing about Donald Trump. For all the control he tries to project, his biggest enemy might just be his own thumbs. This week, the Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell that one of Trump's Truth Social posts, meant to be private, may have just blown a hole in his whole Justice Department's case against former FBI Director James Comey. Now let's rewind. In his second term, Trump has done something he could only dream of before. He's taken full command of the Justice Department. The same guy who once ranted about being blocked or betrayed by the, quote, deep state, now has his loyalists in charge, and he's using them to go after old enemies like Comey, Adam Schiff, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, who, by the way, just yesterday was charged in mortgage fraud case after pressure campaign by Trump. But the Wall Street Journal on September 20th says Trump made a mistake. According to U.S. officials, he meant to send a private message to Attorney General Pam Bondi urging her to prosecute Comey. The message read, quote, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility." The problem, you all remember, he accidentally posted it, but publicly. Trump believed he had sent the message directly to Bondi, the Journal reports, and, quote, was surprised to learn it was public. Bondi, apparently mortified, called the White House, and Trump scrambled to post a follow-up praising her for doing a, quote, great job. That one little oops post could now become an exhibit in Comey's defense. Because here's the legal reality. That message makes it look like the president was directly pressuring the attorney general to prosecute his political enemies. And that's a huge no-no. The Justice Department is supposed to operate independently, not as a presidential hit squad. As former federal prosecutor Preet Bharara told MSNBC's Jen Psaki, this could pose a, quote, big problem legally and substantively for Trump and the DOJ, giving Comey and others, quote, viable motions to dismiss the indictments. Comey's lawyers are already expected to argue that this indictment was politically motivated, what's known as, quote, vindictive prosecution. And as CNN's Aaron Blake put it, it's not inconceivable that an errant DM from Trump could be a big reason why Comey's case is dismissed. So think about that. One slip of the finger could undo years of legal and political maneuvering. But this isn't just about Comey, it's about power and what happens when a president decides the Justice Department is his personal law firm. Trump has built a career on rewriting the rules, but this time his writing on social media may prove what many of us already knew, that he's obsessed with political retribution more than actually running the country. And in the end, that single post doesn't just expose his motives, it exposes his priorities. Because while the government is shut down, like Robby and I have been talking about all weekend, the nation's waiting for leadership, the only thing Trump seems eager to do is reopen a case against his enemies.
Well, I feel mostly similar as I do with the Letitia James situation, which is that if there's a legitimate basis to prosecute James Comey, it should not simply be not done because it's political, because it's retribution. I mean, I'm not going to deny
Talk about
it's
the DM.
retribution.
He should not be messaging Pam Bondi to move forward with prosecuting people and being adamant. The Justice Department is supposed to be independent of the president and operate because there's actually smoke and fire and they think there's a crime committed and move forward with looking into that. Not because the president says, oh, do this. And you have to remember there were people in place, including Eric Siebert, who literally resigned because he said this is not a good thing to prosecute. Let's not move forward. So Trump hired his personal former lawyer, his private lawyer, Lindsey Halligan, who people want off the case now, who he handpicked just because she said probably in private that she would prosecute Comey, who's now moving forward with this case with very little experience. And people can see that this is very obviously politically motivated. And if the Wall Street Journal is reporting that those messages were actually indeed meant to be private, this whole thing will be a waste of time and money. Not only did you handpick somebody who you knew would do your dirty work, but you're also weaponizing the Department of Justice to move forward with something that people who don't want to get disbarred said they're not going to move forward with, except for your friend that's your lawyer.
It is political retribution. I think there's no way around that. It is. James Comey knows a thing or two about being prosecuted for this thing.
Are you going to bring up Martha Stewart again?
Yeah, like I said the other day, he has prosecuted people for these exact same kinds of procedural.
What's his vendetta with Martha Stewart?
Under oath. He didn't have it. I don't know that he had a vendetta. I don't know what it was. He has prosecuted people. The Justice Department always prosecutes people for exactly these kinds of things. This is not out of the ordinary at all. And we're only complaining about it because he's like he was a resistance hero at one point, although I know the Hillary Clinton people hate him or whatever. It's, he has such an ego about himself. He's one of the more obnoxious figures in political life. Look, this is more insignificant, I think, than maybe the Letitia James one, but other people have been prosecuted for this exact same kind of thing. I don't think looking at it is necessarily wrong, and there's a delicious irony in it because he would do this exact same kind of thing if a political enemy of his was in the crosshairs. So we can't have a selective standing down. You talked, and we were just talking about, right? Of course I think it's unhealthy that Democrats come in and do all this lawfare to Republicans, and then Republicans come in and do all this lawfare to Democrats, and that will be a race to the bottom in the future that will be very unhealthy for our country, for our democracy, for our society. But Trump's obviously not going to be the one to back down on this first. I mean, that's just he's not. He ran on doing exactly this kind of thing and was elected.
He also ran of on being a victim of a weaponized Department of Justice,
Right.
and so
But you don't
I
deny
can't imagine
that he was.
I can't imagine. No, I actually have said on record that I think that they should not have continued to move forward with these cases. I thought it was silly to continue to try to impeach this man. I thought it was a waste of time.
Well, you're
and
a rare
resources.
moderate liberal. Who feels
I'll
that
be
way.
rare.
Credit to you.
I will be rare in that I thought that it was foolish to continue to prosecute him in that way, and there were many other things that people in America wanted, which is why Democrats really lost the election, because people were more concerned with their wallets and how to pay their bills than whether or not President Trump should try to be impeached for the 10th time. Okay, there's a clear distinction between me and anybody who thought that was a smart idea. I don't think that we should continue down this path. I think that anybody who ran on, campaigned on saying that they were weaponized against by the Justice Department should not then go and do the same exact thing. And I don't think that Trump needs to be this moral, highly raised figure to just say, this is not how I want to run. The entire movement of MAGA was supposed to be breaking against what was traditional norms of politics, this back and forth, deciding how to move forward and actually get things done, get the government up and working again, right? We had this former businessman that's coming into a new position to change things. And here we are, 9 months into a presidency, and we're talking about political retribution and weaponizing the justice system. I mean, I don't understand how much more of a complete 180 you can possibly do from somebody who we knew was petty. But in this regard, this is like ridiculous to keep going down this path. And I really would hope that Democrats don't continue to follow up with this. I also would not like to see, like we just talked about, we don't have to relitigate it. I don't want to see Letitia James in jail. If James Comey actually committed a crime, then fine. But if this is just to go back and forth because James Comey looked at your connection to possibly communicating improperly with Russia, then, I mean, how long are we going to do this? He also did the same thing to Hillary Clinton 2 weeks before the election, which people say is the reason why she lost the election. So he doesn't have a favorite.
While we were talking about Letitia James, I don't actually want to see anyone in jail unless they're like a violent criminal. I think the purpose of prison is to keep the population safe from violent people.
Thank you.
But there are, I mean, people are prosecuted for white collar crime or financial crime or you don't think that should Bernie Madoff not go to jail? Should I don't. I mean,
Letitia
that gets
James
into a broader.
rented out a home she bought. Bernie Madoff made people ruin livelihoods by ruining tons of people's lives, right? Like she affected only herself.
Okay, but that's not my point. My point is, do you think people should not be in jail for financial or procedural crimes ever?
No, I don't think I don't like to blanket statement anything, but I certainly don't think my bigger point is that we should continue presidencies and administrations where we're prosecuting people who we didn't like 4 years ago. Wait the 4 years and don't come up with a game plan.
Maybe she can wear an ankle monitor. Maybe both of them can, just so we know where they are. Next up, Israel's agreed to a ceasefire that the president says he hopes is the first step toward a lasting peace in Gaza. We'll hear from him next. Stay with us.
Last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East.
It looks like we have a deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet approved the first phase of a peace plan put forward by President Trump and his administration. That phase will secure the release of the remaining Israeli hostages, 20 of whom are still believed to be alive.
In exchange, Israel will implement a ceasefire and agree to a partial withdrawal of IDF forces. Now, this deal is a long time coming, and according to Marco Rubio, one that would not have happened without Trump.
The president had some extraordinary phone calls and meetings that required a high degree of intensity and commitment and made this happen. Not only is there no other leader in the world that could have put this together, Mr. President, but frankly, I don't know of any American president in the modern era that could have made this possible because of the actions you have taken unrelated to this and because of who you are and what you've done and how you're viewed. And this weekend, because of that, at some point very soon, we are going to see 20 living human beings emerge from the darkness into the light for the first time in 2 years.
Trump plans on visiting the Middle East over the weekend in an effort to close the deal. The president says the hostages are expected to be set free shortly after, on Monday or Tuesday of next week. Back here at home, even some Democrats are giving Trump deserved credit for spearheading this deal. Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman even taking it a step further on Fox on Thursday.
Well, I mean, if this sticks, I think the whole point of having a Nobel Peace Prize is for ending wars and promoting peace. And I'm going to make a direct appeal to the president. I hope he chooses to provide the tomahawks to the Ukrainians too, and give them the tools that they need to push back against Russia. And if he brings the Ukrainian war to its end, I'll be the Democrat leading the committee for his Nobel Prize Peace for ending both of these terrible wars.
But some are only cautiously optimistic. Israel and Hamas have only agreed to the first phase of the plan, not the entire thing. And UN Special Reporter and human rights expert Francesca Albanese says she just doesn't trust Israel to keep its end of the bargain, even accusing the country of breaking the ceasefire shortly after agreeing to it. She posted on X, quote, "Ceasefire. In Israel's dictionary, you cease, I fire." Just hours after the deal, as in January, Israel shoots at Palestinians waiting to return home. Before any next step, member states must ensure that Israel honors the ceasefire. Now, CNN reports that there was indeed a live video feed showing Israeli tanks firing along al-Rashid Street to stop people from moving north. It's important to note Israel officials did not give a specific time the ceasefire would begin, only that it would start within 24 hours of approving the deal.
Meantime, U.S. officials have confirmed 200 troops will be deployed to Israel to establish a task force to support stabilization efforts in Gaza. Those troops will reportedly not be deployed into Gaza directly. So, yes, still much to work out. That is the case, but it's incredible to even get to this point. It's wonderful that we have. I usually start to roll my eyes and get a little annoyed at, like, okay, everybody praising Trump so much. It's a little butt kissing, like it can get
Marco Rubio soundbite.
Top, but this time it's deserved. This time, Trump got this done. Biden couldn't get this done. I don't believe Kamala Harris would have been able to get it done. I mean, we saw that. In fact, there's been reporting from left-leaning outlets that versions of this deal were available to the Biden administration, and it was not the Hamas side that wasn't going to accept it. It was the Israel side. The Democrats, when they were in charge, were not willing or able to put enough pressure on the Israeli government to get them to sign off on it, and Trump was. Maybe that's because circumstances on the ground changed. Maybe that's because more time passed. Maybe it's because the pressure has increased domestically in the U.S. The support for Israel has eroded as these atrocities we've witnessed. So you could say it's all of that, but I think part of it is Trump's sheer force of will, and I'm really happy that he accomplished this, and I hope it's the beginning of a more lasting peace, and including self-governance for the Palestinians that is not under the direction of a terrorist group, and peace and prosperity for Jewish people, Muslim people, and everyone else in the region, which is what Trump wants, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, I certainly give him credit. I don't know if I will go as far as Marco Rubio because he was being a little dramatic, but it certainly deserves a level of credit. Now, I think that what has really been important to see, for me, I saw a side-by-side video on News Nation this morning that had Palestinians celebrating in Gaza and also people in Israel celebrating. Really happy because, there's 20 people that are going to come home.
Both sides seem genuinely
happy. To see that, that's the first time we've seen that in 2 years.
Right.
A genuine happiness. People are mourning, missing family members. Some people are going to have the worst day of their lives when they return bodies home. We have to remember that when that happens in Israel. And then also Palestinian people, I was reading in the New York Times saying, we're celebrating and we're happy. This is believed to be true and followed through with, but we also don't understand anything. We still don't understand anything, meaning what's next? Where do we go from here? We can't go back to devastated homes. We're talking about like people who were average middle class people that had a place to live, living in tents, going back to their city, trying to figure out what's next for them, completely rebuilding their lives.
Yeah, in Gaza is
a complete, it's just all rubble. So I think I really would like to, now that we're here, and like I said, I'll give President Trump credit for this, see what the next steps look like, and who will be monitoring that, from a high level to make sure that not only Benjamin Netanyahu, but everybody involved follows through with what the agreed plan is, and nobody goes rogue, because it's so sensitive in that part of the world, in that region, and the tension is so high that there's certainly not a chance to sway in any way, but we'll see how it goes.
Next up, the backlash continues over the NFL's decision to have Bad Bunny perform at the Super Bowl. Coming up, a look at the alternative halftime show being planned by Turning Point USA. We'll be back right after this. Turning Point USA announced they would be hosting their own Super Bowl halftime show after many conservatives expressed anger at the NFL for choosing Bad Bunny.
Now, Turning Point is branding the event as, quote, the all-American halftime show, celebrating faith, family, and freedom. The link in the tweet takes users to a website to fill out a form asking them which music genres they would like to see featured.
Of course, many conservatives celebrated the announcement, with many asking for Creed to be the performers. That's who I want. High-profile Republicans like President Trump and Mike Johnson blasted the NFL for booking Bad Bunny. Trump said he'd never heard of Bad Bunny, while Johnson said the artist was a bad role model for kids.
I saw that survey. The people had screenshotted. Do you
Creed.
want
That's who we want, Creed.
No, it said, like, do you want Christian music? Do you want, like, rock and roll, hip-hop, R&B? I was like...
Rock and roll.
This is hilarious. I'm sorry to tell you, Robby, sorry to break the news. Nobody is turning in to see Creed more than Bad Bunny. It's today's day. You like to be very with the times and say no one's watching the old school news. People are tuning into Bad Bunny. He's a worldwide superstar. Don't be ridiculous. Nobody wants to see Garth Brooks or Kid Rock. I love them both.
What do you mean nobody wants to see Kid Rock?
Nobody wants to see Kid Rock.
He fills out
but nobody wants to see that more than Bad Bunny.
In real America, they want to see Kid Rock.
No, this is real America. That's what people are othering. The fact that it's a Puerto Rican Super Bowl performer, and this is the real world.
Not without his fans, I'm sure
this is with the real world. And you're just not acknowledging that he has.
I'm acknowledging that he has millions of fans.
No, you and Trump are pretending like you don't know who the man is.
No, I genuinely didn't know who he was.
Okay, well, I don't know who Creed is.
Oh, you're lying.
I don't know that. Who's that? Is it? Oh, that's a cologne. Creed is a cologne that Colin has. Have you guys heard of Creed?
I think the Super Bowl. I think one day Bad Bunny will be fine for it. But it's just a little too early.
Because America's not ready?
No. Because he's beloved by younger people. I'm a millennial. I want it to be millennial bands for the next 15 years.
Robby, that's the biggest, and I love you, but that's the biggest thing. You only worry about yourself. You're not worried about people older than you. You're not worried about the people younger than you. The Super Bowl's not for Robby. You don't even barely watch football. I'm guessing. Do you watch football?
It's our turn.
Do you watch football every Sunday? It ain't for you then. Okay, Bad Bunny fans watch football, and they want to see Bad Bunny, okay? They're going to be in the stands, Mia. I mean,
it's time for
like that. He's the biggest star.
I would be saying the same thing if they were booking Paul McCartney or whatever. Like, okay, it's time to move on.
You wouldn't though. This is an outrage from the president of our country.
It's my generation's turn. It's our turn. That's all I'm saying. It's our turn. Our turn. You and me.
Okay, 50 Cent was one of the biggest performers of our growing up generation, right?
Yeah.
He performed. We had our turn. He was just at the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre. We had our turn.
And that was fine.
Literally took.
Did you hear me complaining about that? Absolutely not.
So now it's someone else's turn.
No, we need a couple more.
Bad Bunny crosses genres. He's
a couple more years of that. I don't care about the genre thing.
And no one's going to watch this. They're not going to have many views, and it's going to be funny to watch.
We don't even know what their act is.
Whomever it is, it's going to be hilarious to watch the numbers for Super Bowl halftime show versus the numbers for Turning Point's Faith, Family, and Freedom Convention. Okay.
Which of those things do you dislike? Faith, family,
I love all of them. I love all of them. I said to watch that convention during Super Bowl, the numbers are going to be drastically different, and then we could talk about that the Monday after Super Bowl, which I think should be a holiday anyway. But since it's not, we will be here talking about it.
A highlight reel of the. No, I mean I got a Super Bowl party sometimes. I watch. I really only care about Michigan football. I don't really care about the NFL very much. University of Michigan football. Although this weekend, because my dad is in town and he's a big Michigan State fan. Which is not my college. I went to University of Michigan. We will be watching the Michigan State game.
Hey, Dad.
At a bar in D.C. So if I see you out there, say hi. Before we go today, we do want to share something with y'all.
That's right. My new show, World of Travel, will be premiering on The Hill. It features myself, film director and partner Colin Boyd, and our toddler Kinsley. We take you various places around the globe, exploring the vibrant cultures, uncovering untold stories, and envisioning our future of the world and the world that we want to show you guys, the differences between all people around that makes us even more similar.
And your whole family's involved.
Our whole family. We're dragging the baby around. Here's our preview of our first episode in the island of St. Lucia, a country in the Caribbean that I think you all should know about.
I knew we were going to have a good day when just minutes into our fishing trip, we caught something.
Only a couple minutes out, we caught our first barracuda. Oh, no. Oh, hell no.
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was tongue. Yeah. I thought it was a tongue. Your thumb in there.
Nice job, fellas. We were up there having drinks and y'all was catching our dinner. You know what I'm saying?
He was a small guy, but I'm still happy we caught something. We kept at it, fishing, vibing, and having fun.
I got one, y'all.
Oh my God, they're right here. Woo, dolphins!
So one of the
That
things,
looks fun.
It was hilarious to film. So one of the things about the show, though, that was a really fun part. But we really are trying to show people about the past, the present, and the future of locations around the world. Part of me growing up, my mom worked for TWA, which is a now defunct airline. And I think travel has made me have this mindset that makes me want to understand other people. I've always had no problem sitting across from people like yourself, disagree in ideas, ideologies, but also having a conversation, because what we care about...
You mean insane lunatics like me.
Lunatics like you. Because I think what we care about is all the same. Like our family, we want to be well, we want to have financial freedom, we want to try to achieve the American dream. And when you go to other countries...
I want to go on a trip to the Caribbean.
You realize they have their own things that make them happy. And then there's so much in our country that, that we spend so much time fighting over. And then you see people with much less enjoying it much easier. And so I just like to find that and show people the connection that we can all get back to kind of the root of conversation and figuring out how to live.
When did you film this? What year was this?
So this was our first episode. So for context, World of Travel has been going on since 2020. We licensed it with Samsung TV a year ago, and now we came to Nexstar. And as I came onto the Hill, this is a project that we've been working on. And so they were like, oh, well, we would like to see what it's all about and see our second season. They saw that we were going to South Africa. South Africa has been in the political news. We talked to political leaders over there. We were in Turkey, who I know is being credited for a lot of this peace negotiation. And so we went to Turkey this year. So that one was filmed 3 years ago, and our newest episodes were filmed earlier this year. So the series has developed with us. Our first season that's premiering on the Hill is more about experiencing fishing and all the things you can do, but our second season is really leaning into political news, topics, cultural news, and really that connection that I was talking about.
Let's do another season, but you and Colin can take over Rising. And,
And
Uncle
you go.
Robby will take Kinsley to like the Greek Isles or something, and we'll have a great time.
You know what? Half the crew has
Sign me
been
up
like,
for that. Do you hear me, Nexstar? I think we're working a little arranging of the chairs
Colin,
here,
come sit
and
down.
who's doing what? Colin to
Colin
Rising,
will probably agree with a lot of
Robby
your
to
perspectives.
travel.
because he's from Texas, so he has a lot of, shares a lot of your views, unfortunately. But so you guys haven't even met yet.
No, I look forward to meeting
You guys will meet soon. We'll make it happen.
We'll meet soon. I look
So I
forward to
hope you
meeting
guys
Kinsley
tune in
as well.
Yes, I want to hear your feedback, and we're looking forward to bringing it to the next.
Where can they watch it?
They can watch it on the Hill's YouTube, and it'll be all on the fast channels where you can watch Rising. And we will let you know a date and a time. But 4 p.m. on Thursdays right now on YouTube. Check it out.
That's exciting.
Yep, every Wednesday. And we have a complimentary podcast where we interview celebrities. Like today, Kevin O'Leary's coming in to talk about how he has residency in the UAE. And that's one of our episodes. So we do a podcast where we talk to the people that love the places that we've been.
Love Kevin O'Leary.
He'll be here in about 45 minutes, so hang around.
All right,
Yeah.
I will. What a great that
does it for us on Rising
Friday
Live.
we had, yes.
Look out for more exclusive content coming your way today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on the Hill's YouTube channel so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen to us on the go, we're available anywhere you listen to podcasts. See you next week.